Welcome to Podcast Done For You, the show where we make it as easy as possible for you to make the right choices to advance your podcasting career. So let's get started on the show.
Your strategy for 2026, here it is, the podcasting must do. Welcome to Podcast Done For You. We have got plenty in this episode for you to consume. If you are thinking about a podcast, if you're even on the way that you've even planned your podcast, or maybe even just started, well, this is an episode that is essentially just for you. Now, I want you to keep in mind that later on in the episode, we're going to have something for you to reference as well. So make sure you've got pen and paper ready, or maybe sure you'd be ready to get a hold of a link that we'll share with you so that you don't miss out on those must-have resources. Meanwhile, I want to talk to you about the strategy for 2026. What's changed, where you need to be, what you need to be doing with your podcast, indeed, why you need to have a podcast. So let's start off with the why, because that's the most critical element here. Why do you need a podcast in 2026? Very, very simple. We are being inundated with AI. And here's the thing about AI. If AI is using anybody's content, everybody can look exactly the same. The differentiator is you. You are the difference. Your stories, your insights, your interpretations, that's what makes all of the difference in the way you go about what you do, and indeed why people will want to engage with you. The stories you tell are everything. And that's why a podcast is such a powerful differentiator, because it enables people to hear the actual you. Now, if you are out there and you're contemplating one of these, and I've seen them, these ones where you can get a different voice to deliver a podcast in an automated AI fashion, please, please, please don't go down that track. What a waste of time and energy. First of all, you're having to script something or get an AI to script it. It's not you. Why are you hiding? Are you saying that you wouldn't go to into a conversation in a networking meeting because you'd rather have an AI doing it for you? Please. People do business with you. Don't be afraid. Don't hide behind gimmicks. That's the reason you have a podcast, is you put yourself out there consistently and you do it to lots of people who can then absorb it in their own time. Now, why is it such an important strategy? Well, I'll give you a couple of reasons. One, 1.5 billion, that's the size of the audience that's out there. Second reason, 1%. 1% of business podcasts actually make it past 20 episodes. You have an opportunity to be in the top 1% by just getting things right. That's a huge audience that you have the potential to tap into. That's why you're sitting here and listening to me now, because this is a podcast that matters to you. So, you've got to be the podcast that matters to other people as well. What else do you need to know? Well, you need to be seen as the expert. You want to be that go-to person. You want to be the person that has, hey, I'm the one you want to deal with, written all over it so that you grow your business. Ultimately, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to grow our business. Podcasting enables you to talk to a broader audience. But even more important than that, it is the best marketing tool, and I've said this before in previous episodes, so excuse me for repeating myself, but it is the best marketing tool that I have ever come across in over 35 years of working in marketing, and every other podcaster that's worth their salt will tell you exactly the same. Why? Because it's not just about the podcast. It's about everything that's created from it. So AI, I mentioned earlier on. Here's the thing. Once you have an AI and it's using your content from a podcast, you've got authentic content that it can actually use and just rework for you. That is very different to, hey, just create something out of nothing. So, very important strategy, because it's going to save you a lot of time. If you have the right resources behind you, you're going to get reels, short videos, in other words, for those playing along, for you to use on YouTube, on social media, newsletters, other places you want to use it, including your website. You've got a transcript that can easily be turned into blog articles and posts for social media. You can turn it into downloads, and even over extended episodes, turn it into books. There's a myriad of things that you can do with what I call the cascading effect from podcasts. Then, if we go beyond all of that, the very simple idea is that you are educating and nurturing your audience on a consistent basis, but it's not just new people, your existing clients. You give them something to share, you give them something to enjoy in between, whether it's sharing it with other team members, partners, depending on the nature of the podcast, or it could be friends, family, peers, whatever it is. A podcast is that much easier to share than asking them to book an appointment, asking them to do something which they feel they're giving too much away when they don't even know you yet. The podcast is that opportunity for them to get to know you. It is a strategy that saves you time for that reason. How much time are you spending on social media? I've often said this to people. The experts will tell you, you should be posting 3 times a week on LinkedIn. Are you doing that? How much time is it actually taking you from the moment that someone says post to the moment you deliver it? I'm betting on average, it's about 2 hours. That's what it is for most people. Imagine if you got that 4 to 6 hours back a week, depending on how often you post it, because you get that back when you do a podcast. Now, here's the thing as well with this strategy. Go in with your eyes wide open. Do not think that you can do it all yourself. You can't, you shouldn't, and don't even contemplate it. Doesn't mean that you can't have a crack at learning a few things, for sure. I understand the fun and novelty of it, but if you get caught up in the minutiae of doing everything involved, from producing to being the expert on your show, to organizing guests, to the strategy, to the publishing, to the editing, to the promoting, if you are wearing all of those hats, it's going to take you 6 to 8 hours a week to get your podcast up and running, or 6 to 8 hours per episode, I should say, to get that up and running. You don't want to be doing that. Don't do that. Make your strategy one that is going to deliver results for you. Make sure you've got the things around you that mean that you can just focus on being the expert, which is what you want. That's how come more people will come to you, because they will see you as the expert. That is the critical element of the equation in this. It's why it's such an important part of the strategy. Make sure whatever you design your podcast around, it should be so that you are the central figure. Don't just bring on guests, and we've talked about this in previous episodes. Don't just bring on guests for the sake of it unless you are also an expert as part of that, or there is some strategy for you being associated with some of the people you are bringing onto the show. So that's the big lesson here. It is a winning strategy for you, but only if you tick the boxes right. You grab part of that 1.5 billion audience. You get yourself into the top 1% of podcasts. You take the minimal amount of time to do it, but maximize the way that your expertise are held. You have got a winning combination, because it gives you so much more than the podcast itself. That's why this is such an important strategy for 2026. I spoke to someone recently who didn't even know I was in the podcasting space, and actually said to me, it's the golden age of podcasting. And it's so true. So true. That's where we're at the moment, because as more and more people turn to AI, and as more and more people are seeing automations and other things happening in a business, the more they are turning towards that real human differentiator. That is what podcasting offers, that human element that is so different. It's not a cold call. It's not a cold email. It is a genuine way of having conversations with people you haven't met and conversations with people you have met. It's about keeping in touch with them without you annoying them. It's about making sure that you are everywhere without it costing you a huge amount of time. It's efficient, it's effective, and it is absolutely essential for your business strategy in 2026. So I could prattle on for hours about how brilliant podcasting is. In fact, I run masterclasses on a regular basis just about all of these elements, and I've just summarized them very briefly for you. But I tell you what, if you're interested in having a listen or a watch of a masterclass that I have, hit me up, leave a comment there. I'd be more than happy to share a link directly with you to watch that masterclass so you can find out more about the value of podcasts. But let me just say this to you. If you are a business leader, if you have a business that is looking to grow in 2026, if podcasting is not on your radar, then you are missing a trick. Please review what you are doing in your marketing. Review the time, review the dollars, review the energy that's being spent on other marketing activities, and tell me if a podcast couldn't just make your life so much easier in so many of those aspects. So there you go. That's my strategy for podcasting for 2026 and why it is so critical that you consider a podcast. Now, if you have got a podcast and you want some materials to take a look at on what you need to get involved and how you might want to get better, well, I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a download that I have that will give you all of the information about all of the stuff that we use to make the podcast happen. So if you are looking to do it yourself, again, tell you to reach out if you don't want to do it yourself. But if you are and you want to know the things about everything from lights to backgrounds to what software to use to what's the great microphone to use, we've got it all. We've summarized it into a simple document. You can click on all of the links and buy whatever you need from there, or you can go searching for an equivalent wherever suits you, wherever you are in the world. So we'll include that link in the show notes for that very important reference material. But like I said, going back to it all, podcasting is a winning strategy for you in 2026. But here's the one thing, and here's the important little note that you need to make. This is a long-term strategy. This is not an immediate, hey, I've got a podcast, automatically I must have the phones ringing. No, this is a brand building exercise. But if you use it correctly to feed out into multiple places, well, you have an absolute winner. Stay tuned for another episode where I'm going to talk in more detail about the value of the cascading effect of podcasting. Until next time, this has been a production of podcastdoneforyou.com.au, where we do podcasts for you. All you have to do is show up as the expert. Look forward to your company on the next episode of the Podcast Done For You show.